How old are you?
23,
Where are you from?
Dudley.
And what have you been convicted for?
Joint enterprise to murder, causing actual bodily harm and violent disorder.
How long have you been in?
About 18 months.
Are you in a gang?
No.
Okay, so how long do you have to serve?
I've got to serve 18 years before I'm eligible for parole.
Okay, I'm a bit straight to it. What's it like to kill?
I've never killed, so I can't answer that question.
So you're not actually a killer.
No.
And how does that feel?
I just feel I've been let down by the justice system.
Okay, so do you feel like you've been wrongly convicted?
Yes.
Explain why.
Because I've been convicted for murder, although I haven't actually killed anybody.
Okay, so what actually happened on that night in Sedgley?
So basically I was out celebrating my 22nd birthday. I was out with friends, just visited a few bars and pubs, had a good time, and then towards the end of the night I saw a guy kicking off, and then I ended up getting punched in my face. Ended up falling to the floor, got back up, then tried to pull a friend away, ended up on the floor, and then I struck the victim once after I panicked, and then I stepped away from the scene.
So you didn't give out the fatal blow to the
No.
victim? How did you know the victim?
I didn't know the victim.
Okay. So you and the victim had no trouble before this?
No, never heard of him, seen him before.
Why did the victim punch you?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Do you feel like you've been given a harsh sentence?
Yes. Well, the sentence is, it's all right for the conviction. It's the conviction I feel is wrong.
And how old was you when you got convicted?
I was 22.
And how old was you when the crime happened?
22. It was on my 22nd birthday.
What do you think about joint enterprise? Do you think that's a lazy law?
It is a lazy law, and there's a lot of people throughout the system now who've got the same issues I've got with it as well.
Okay. Have you lodged an appeal?
No.
Do you plan to appeal your case?
Well, from what I've been told, I've got no grounds to appeal.
Okay. But if you was to appeal, what would you appeal for? Would you appeal to get your conviction quashed, overturned to manslaughter?
Well, I'd want it quashed or overturned to manslaughter.
And if you was to appeal the case, it would go to London in the High Court, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you regret anything about that night?
No.
No. How do you feel about the media portraying you?
Well, the media portrayed me out to be a gang member, a lowlife who had nothing else better to do with his time than go out drinking, being violent with my friends. They portrayed me to be quite a bad person, yes.
And is that true?
No.
What's the truth and what do you want to clear up?
Well, the truth is, I haven't actually I didn't murder the victim. I accept my actions, but I didn't play a part in his death.
Do you feel you're a victim yourself?
Yes, to an extent, because I was assaulted.
What injuries did your victim have?
It was just, he died of a blunt force trauma with excess alcohol intoxication. So it was just more bruises more than anything. There wasn't no cuts or like lacerations or anything like that. It was just bruising.
And it was completely random?
Yeah, it was the incident was spontaneous.
How many co-defendants did you have?
Well, there was 6 of us all together.
And tell us about them. How many got convicted of murder and how many got convicted of manslaughter?
5 of us got convicted of murder, One of my colleagues got convicted of manslaughter.
Okay. And the guy who delivered the fatal blow, how many years did he get?
He received the lowest sentence. He actually got 16 years due to his age.
And he is the actual killer.
Well, that's what the pathologist said. His strike had enough force to cause death. So 3 years.
Did you plead guilty or run trial?
I actually won trial.
How long was your trial?
The trial was 6 weeks long.
And what court was that in?
A Wolverhampton Crown.
Can you tell us about your trial?
It was just a normal trial as far as I was aware. But I know there was quite some issues during the trial regarding jury tampering and stuff, which I feel wasn't properly investigated. But there's not much I can do.
Okay. Tell us about what happened with the jury and the victim's family.
Well, there was allegations during the trial that when we was having recesses for lunch breaks and the jury were going out into the town, they were actually socialising with the victim's family in the town. A number of people seen this and made formal complaints to the police and to the court, which the court got suspended for a couple of days, which they checked the cameras outside the court, which didn't show nothing as the view was quite obscured. And then we wanted them to do some further investigations regarding cameras in the city centre, but we was then told the council would not allow our legal teams to have access to the actual footage in the town. So we kind of hit a dead end.
That seems quite strange to me. Do you feel like that's a cover-up?
I don't know how to think. I just think it's I don't think it's right.
Because the jury members cannot speak to the victim's family. To me, that's a clear breach of law.
Well, it would be. It would be if that happened, yes.
And who knows what that conversation was about?
Exactly, yes.
If this is true, that would be reasonable grounds for an appeal.
Well, it would be reasonable grounds for a retrial, I believe, because it's a conflict of interests.
When you find out the victim died, how did you feel?
I was devastated, to be fair, because I couldn't believe what I'd been involved in.
Considering your situation, it must be quite hard for you.
Yes, it is, to be fair. I was a young lad, had my whole life ahead of me, was doing well. Yeah.
Do you struggle with stress or mental health?
I struggle with stress sometimes. It's a long time in jail. So yes, I do struggle sometimes.
How old was you when you first came to prison?
I went to jail when I was younger, 16. I've done a year in jail then. Came out of jail when I was 17. Changed all my life around and... Yeah.
How did you change it around?
When I come out of jail when I was 17, I got my qualifications. I enrolled on a gas engineering course. And I got fully qualified gas engineer, which took me 3 years to complete, working all over the country. Yeah, I was on a good path.
So you was a law-abiding citizen?
You could say that, yes.
Okay. How many times have you been to prison?
It's my second time.
What other prisons have you been to?
So I've been to HMP Strangeways, HMP Birmingham, HMP Hewell and HMP Warrington.
Do you feel the joint enterprise law is unfair for BAME communities?
Yes.
We already know that the stats say that more black people and Asian people get convicted of joint enterprise murder than white people. How do you feel about that?
I think it's unjust, really, isn't it?
Felicity Jerry, QC, she had exposed this in her book about the Amin Jolgi case in 2016, which joint enterprise, the law had been changed
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, the law was rewritten in 2016 because there was a lot of people on the fringes getting convicted of joint enterprise. And the law was rewritten to say if you assist or encourage an offender, you're as guilty as the offender, which I still think is it's unjust.
So let me get this clear. You're doing 18 years after a man punched you first and then you kicked him after.
Yes.
How has this affected you and your family?
Well, it's affected me because, like I said prior, my life's changed, and then obviously you got my family. My mum's lost a son. My brothers and sisters have lost a sibling.
It must be painful.
Yeah, it is painful. Yes.
Have you heard of JENGbA?
Yes.
And what do you think about them?
I think it's a good group, to be honest. It's a good group. They are campaigning to for a lot of people in these situations, but I think without enough recognition and enough people highlighting this issue, I can't see anything kind of changing.
Would you like JENGbA to help you?
Yes, if it's possible. Yes, if they can help me and other people in similar positions, then yes.
Because JENGbA are victims, families who have been convicted under joint enterprise, and they all protesting, and they do marches in London, outside the Supreme Court and outside the High Court.
Yes.
Would you like to get your family involved in that, or anyone else?
Yeah, my family are involved in JENGbA, to be honest. They have been on rallies, like you said, outside the Houses of Parliament and stuff down in London. But like I said, without enough voices and enough recognition highlighting this issue, it's not actually going to quite go anywhere.
From this miscarriage of justice, and even though the Supreme Court ruling in Regina versus Jogi recognised that, little has been done to rectify it, and that is why this bill is so important. The substantial injustice test prevents people who have been wronged by this law from seeking their right to appeal and must be reformed. And it's a matter of astonishment to me, really, that following that very important judgment I've just mentioned, more hasn't happened. It hasn't happened more quickly, because if I was a Supreme Court judge, seeing a result like that, a ruling like that from the Supreme Court, would give me sleepless nights, because I would be worried that there were people who were wrongly being detained in prison who shouldn't be there. Now,
Full of lies.
Joint enterprise is a court full of lies.
Joint enterprise is a court full of lies.
Joint enterprise is a court full of lies.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
Free our innocent.
Free our innocent.
Free our innocent.
Free our innocent.